yesterday I decided to do a live stream for our very first Ultra battle. And to say the least, it was super annoying. I mean, even just looking at this gives me headaches. The situation was literally the definition of bringing a knife to a gunfight. And then I remembered another saying. If you can beat them, just join them. So I decided to build my very first siege march on my dead account. But the problem is, I have no tier 5 siege units, no sculptures to invest, no blueprints, and no armaments. And because of that, I think this is the perfect time to make a siege progression video, because I'm gonna start literally from the bottom for this march. We're gonna go over how can you go from like a beginner siege player or a beginner siege march to an expert level, like a Mr. Siege level engineering march. Basically, we are going to discuss the cheapest things that you can have. You can start running a siege march, and then we will discuss regarding commanders, armaments, and equipment. How can you progress from there and reach your end goal for a siege march? Because what I did is, I did try a siege march on my other account, and I had, you know, legendary commanders, legendary gear, and all that. So I do have a little bit of an experience with an engineering march, and after seeing that Alto battle, I think everyone needs a siege march, especially if your regular marches don't have, you know, the best gear and best armaments, etc. So without further ado, let's start with commander progression, and then we are going to move to equipment, and finally the armaments. Right, so I think even after the releases of John Hunyadi and Stefan, I still believe that Cordoba with Gajamada is still the best siege march in the game. Unless for some reason you want to go all in for engineering commanders, I think one siege march is all you need. Because as I said, I did play with a siege march with, you know, okay amount of investments. And that march was really good. Like, it was superb when it was supposed to perform, and it was really bad when it wasn't supposed to perform. So I think it's a good thing. I would say it is a consistent march, and when it should perform, oh my god, it shreds. The situations, the scenarios is going to be very limited compared to your regular marches, but as I said, they're going to perform the best when they need to perform. And I think, as I already mentioned, Gonzalo paired with Gajamada is still the best siege march in the game. So this is pretty much, if you're gonna have like, if you're not gonna go all in on sieges and you're gonna have one siege march, this is, I think, what you need. And of course, the best configuration is going to be Gaja, Gonzalo, both expertise. However, this will cost us 1,380 sculptures. But at least we know that this is our endgame goal for a siege march, having both of those commanders expertise. Now, the way that we're gonna make this cheaper is, I think, again, investing on the same two commanders, Gonzalo and Gaja, but this time we're gonna get both of them to 5511. I think with 5511 configuration, they're going to perform decent. Like, obviously it's not going to be amazing, but it will still perform decent, and the sculpture cost is way less. Instead of 1,380, we will invest less than 400 sculptures in total, and we will have a siege march that can operate. However, if you're in my shoes, look at the number of sculptures that I have. 131, which is super low. The way that we're going to make this even cheaper, and I think this is a sweet spot, this should be the starting point. Here, the epics comes into the play. Specifically, Narcissus. I think Catherine is okay, but Narcissus is better. And I don't recommend you to use two epics in Season of Conquest. So what we're going to do is we're going to pair our Gonzalo with Narcissus. I think this march performs better than any combination of Catherine with any other legendary. So Cordoba with Narcissus is going to be our bare minimum investment. You should have, if you're in Season of Conquest, you should have ton of extra epic sculptures, so it shouldn't be a problem for you to getting your epic to expertise. And Cordoba, of course, will be 5511. So in total, we only need, and that's exactly what I'm going to do, get him to 5511 with only 190 sculptures, then pair him with Narcissus until we have our Gajama. Look, I have not even summoned him yet. I'm trying to get him from the dailies. Until we are going to use this march until we get our Gaja to 5511 configuration, and then we are going to go to the expertise levels after we are done with both legendaries to 5511. But until then, I think Gonzalo with Narcissus is going to be a really nice one. I will try them. Next Ultra, it should be like in 3 days or so, and I will keep you guys updated. Now, this is, I think, the commander progression, right? Just to recap it real quick, you're going to max Narcissus, get your Gonzalo to 60, just so that you can use him as a primary. Only 190 sculptures, get him to 5511, pair with Narcissus. And then, in the meantime, try to get your Gaja model to 5511. You pair Gonzalo with Gaja, and then finally, you work on expertise in both. And in the end, you will have the best engineering march in Rise of Kingdoms at this moment, in my opinion. Now, the next thing we're going to discuss is the equipment. And let me tell you this, Siege has one of the best equipment in Rise of Kingdoms. I guess that's because like they give a ton of extra stats compared to other unit types. And I think the reason for that is in the rock paper scissors situation in Rise of Kingdoms, the siege gets counted technically. I mean, it says that it gets counted by every single troop type in the game, whether it's archers, infantry, cavalry, whatever. I think to make up for it, they gave siege equipment a ton of extra stats. And if you get them like special talented, the gap is even bigger. So it's crazy. But let's talk about the starting equipment. Believe it or not, you can actually get away with 4 pieces gathering set. And since these are blue equipment, it should be super easy for you to get them special talented. Let me move myself real quick. The reason why you can get away with this set, look, 4 pieces only, all special talented because they're blues, it shouldn't be a problem for you. It gives 8% attack, 15% defense, and 7% health, which is insane. This is blue equipment, and on top of that, it only costs animal bones, so it literally costs nothing, no materials. Okay, this is a great starting point. However, of course, you don't want to stay with empty slots, so for weapon, we of course need the siege weapon, and to finish it off this starting siege set, we are gonna add the gloves. This is going to be our bare minimum starting equipment. We're gonna get 21% attack, 20.5% defense, 7% health, and finally we're gonna get it's only 2% because it's our starting gear, but later on once we move on to legendaries, this is going to be super high, 2% extra march speed. Now after you craft this configuration, the next thing that we're gonna do, of course, and if you're in Season of Conquest, this shouldn't be a big problem as well, you're going to move to full epic siege set. This is going to be the second step, the second configuration, and unfortunately, unlike our blue pieces, these are going to cost us actual materials rather than animal bones, like it would cost leather, ebony, iron, whatever. But I think considering the fact that they're only epics, the stats that we get in return is really good, and on top of that, now our march speed bonus is not 2%, it is 6%. I know it's not massive, but it is still pretty good. In fact, the next thing that we're going to move on, the next configuration, is going to boost our march speed even more, because specifically for that reason, the first 2 epics that we're going to get rid of will be the boots and the legs. And the reason for that is because other than the weapon, all these 3 epics, chest, helm, and gloves, they give march speed, but legs and boots didn't give march speed. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of them first, and we will replace those with legendaries. And as you can see, not only it boosts our health pretty massively because this leg gives you health instead of defense, but it also now gives us 13% march speed. And from there, I think the last 2 that you can replace is going to be the weapon and the helm. So what I would do is I will get the chest and gloves. After that, you'll probably go with the helm. And finally, to finish it off, you're going to switch your epic weapon to legendary weapon. This is going to be your endgame absolute best siege set. However, as you can see, we have not talked about accessories, and accessories are actually pretty good when it comes to siege because you can get away with very cheap accessories. 2 things that I'm going to mention. The best one is going to be, since we are building the legendary set, in my opinion, will be ring and horn. I don't really like the plume. So ring and horn is going to be your endgame accessory. This will be your absolute best endgame set. However, in the meantime, of course, you want to fill those accessory slots. For that, you're going to use, in my opinion, you should be using a Call of the Loyal, and you can get this blueprint from like a Lost Canyon in every KVK, so it shouldn't be a problem to get the special talented, but let's not use a special talent. This will give us march speed, which is one of the things that Siege is lacking. Since you are using siege units, it's going to be pretty slow. So Call of the Loyal is, I think, pretty handy, and the other one will be the Lane's Amulet. The reason why the Lane's Amulet is so good on siege units is because ideally, you are not going to take any direct damage. You're not going to take any skill damage. You're not going to take any basic attack damage. The only damage that you're going to take will be, hopefully, because that's your plan, if you're using a range march, will be counterattack damage. And the counterattack damage reduction 5% that we get from the Lane's Amulet should be like, technically, it is 5% all damage reduction, because, as I said, technically that should be the only damage type that we are taking, counterattack damage. And because of that, I think both the Lane and Call of the Loyal serves really well to your engineering march, and this should be your starting accessories. And from there, as I said, you can go with Horn of Fury and Ring of Doom, and this is your endgame siege set. Now, when it comes to armaments, though, it is a little bit funny because armaments is basically like, it's all based on luck. You could open 100 armament chests and get nothing, and someone else could open only like 20 and get a special inscription. And for that reason, what I'm going to do is I will only go over the armaments that I think has the best inscriptions. One of them is going to be Sharpshooter. This is amazing, and you can get it from the Autarch Tavern in KVK. Drilled is very nice as well. You get 5% boost to range normal damage, and on top of that, When attacking from range, for every 20% units the target has lost, you're gonna get 3% bonus to normal damage dealt. It goes up to 12%, which is amazing. So it's really good to just finishing off those targets with low HP. Now, Merciless, this is the one that you can get from the regular shop, courier station shop, and I don't really like it. It increases your skill damage resistance 5%. Who cares? Because with sieges, if you are taking skill damage, you are doing something wrong. And then it increases the attack of village troops by 30% for 10 seconds after entering the battle. So you will only get this benefit for the first 10 seconds. It is not amazing, and Astute is one of the best ones. Straight up 10% boost to range normal damage dealt. So I think these three are amazing. This one is not that good. And I will say that the main armament type that you should be working on could be Screw, just because you can get this sharpshooter inscription from, as I said, Autarch Tavern. So you know that at some point, right, at some point, you will have this inscription as long as you keep playing the game and getting into KVKs. If you know that you are going to have this legendary inscription, for sure, it's guaranteed. It's of course the best to work on that specific slot, so that once you have all those stats ready, maybe you can get like something crazy, all 3% plus siege stats, and then finally you can get the sharpshooter inscription, apply it, and you're going to have like the perfect armament for this specific slot. So what I'm going to do, I have 3 days until I run out of time. I need to get like a bunch of extra sculptures, so that I can get my Cordoba to 5511. And then I'm going to pair him with Narcissus. I have him max anyways. And the gear that I have is all blue special talented, and I only have the weapon, unfortunately. I don't have the gloves because, as I showed you at the start of the video, I have no materials whatsoever. But I basically also need to be crafting. I should have enough materials to craft the gloves as well, so that I can have at least the starting set. And my god, regarding armaments... It's so bad. Like, I practically have nothing, so I need to fix that as well. Like, I only have 3 days. Most likely our armaments are going to be our weakest links, but we will see. I see you guys in 3 days after I try this bare minimum invested Siege March. Hope you guys liked it. Make sure to subscribe for more Rise of Kingdoms videos. See you on the next one. Goodbye.